Coming up, he's a White House champion of change, helping Cherokee Nation citizens turn their lives around.
I'm never proud of anything that I did. I'm proud of where I am today.
How this family man is making a difference and how it all started with his own mistakes. And 2015's Miss Teen Oklahoma, how Cherokee Pierce used a bad experience at school to fuel her dreams.
I always had this secret kind of dream of wanting to do a pageant.
And the historic inspiration behind Ron Mitchell's paintings.
Concept of taking documents like money and putting a new twist to it. It's sort of a satirical look on history, but using documents.
How he overcame what could have been a major obstacle to his artwork.
The Cherokees.
A thriving American Indian tribe.
Our history.
Our culture. Our people.
Our future.
The principles of a historic nation.
Sewn into the fabric of a modern world.
Hundreds of thousands strong. Learning.
Growing.
Succeeding.
And steadfast.
In the past, we have persevered through struggle.
But the future is ours to write.
Osiyo.
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 These are the voices of the Cherokee people.
Osiyo, I'm Principal Chief Bill John Baker. Welcome to the Cherokee Nation and OsiyoTV. This is how we share our culture, our heritage, our history, and our language with you. Wado.
Osiyo, it's how we say hello in Cherokee. Today we'll introduce you to an artist who uses historical documents as inspiration for his work. Plus we'll meet Cherokee Nation citizen and Miss Teen Oklahoma 2015, who's written a children's book to help kids overcome bullying. But first, let's hear from Daryl Legg, a White House champion for change who's helping people in the Cherokee Nation find a turning point.
Whenever you're called something like felon, immediately, once you have to self-disclose that you're a felon, the feeling of being a little bit subhuman comes over you. Sometimes you feel like you're walking around with a big F on your forehead. I'm Daryl Legg, and I'm the Director of the Economic Development and Reentry for Cherokee Nation Career Services. You know, I graduated high school here in Salisaw at Central High School with straight A's, class president, and I just started partying. And next thing you know, you was doing methamphetamines just so you could drink longer and stay up longer and drink more beer. And it just got out of control. And I ended up going to prison in '94 for possession of methamphetamine. I was standing in line at the bookstore when a lady approached me from Cherokee Nation Voc Rehab. She happened to know me. We worked together in years past, and she said, "Daryl, didn't you just get out?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Are you considered a chemical dependent?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so." And she said, "Well, we can help you get your schooling paid for through Voc Rehab." The reentry is a program that was developed to help incarcerated Cherokees for when they get out of prison. In career services, one of the barriers that we have that qualifies you for our program is being an ex-offender. So it just kind of fit to be with our program because we're all about getting jobs, getting people employed, and self-sufficiency. So you got to separate your mentality from where you were incarcerated to where you are today. If you make people like you, they want to be around you. I don't really hardly ever go into telling war stories because it's nothing I'm proud of. And people want to, they want to brag and say how proud they are of me because of what I'm doing now. I'm really doing what I should have been doing all along.
Well, I was raised up in Chewy, Oklahoma. All in all, it was a pretty good childhood. I'd kind of got into the wrong crowd, you know. Got to work. It was more important to, you know, drink and get high. It wasn't very long to where the anger and the drugs and alcohol was more controlling than anything in my life, you know. And I was just to a point where I wished that I could just actually just die somehow, you know. You know, I've thought about that every day. I still think about it. Takes something drastic when you're that far out there, you know, for you to really realize that something's wrong, you know. I was asking myself one day, and I prayed about it and asked God, I said, you know, I know there's a better me inside there. It's almost like we was talking right now. He said, you see where your decisions have brought you. He said, why don't you turn your life around and let me run it and let me show you where I'll take it. And if I remember right, it's like 19 years, 5 months and 7 days. And I just got out on July 2nd this year.
Del Six Killer is one of our best success stories since I've been here. He would easily be told no in every situation if it wasn't for his tribe helping him. He came through these front doors, is how it happened. And he just walked in, really didn't have any kind of direction on what to do, how to go about getting help, how to go about getting a job. He come out motivated. There wasn't much coaching that was needed with him. We got him some clothes, got him hooked up, got him stabled at a motel, got him some food, and everything else Del has done on his own.
It's not so much as being hard as it's me kind of trying to catch up. One of the biggest things was I prayed about helping people out. God just opened up the doors to where now I'm in drug court. My job title is a supervision officer, and it's a really important job, and there's a lot of things that I'm having to catch on to. It's kind of like put me in a position to where I used to be. Now I'm having to be the guy that has to get on some of these guys. I'm really not used to that yet, but it'll come around, you know. So I'm trying my best to do the things that God's called me to do.
I'm never proud of anything that I did. I'm proud of where I am today. I enjoyed the fact that I'm able to go over there and talk to the chief of police anytime I want to. You know, I consider him a friend, or he's a colleague. Me work for the city, or being an elected official and him work for the city. I try to really shut out a lot of the memories that I've had from a long time ago, because none of it was pleasant, and it's nothing that, you know, to brag about or boast of, that's for sure. In 2014, President Obama sent out nominations for people that are for their reentries, for their efforts on reentry to employment. It was overwhelming because I got to bring my family with me. You know, they had never been to Washington, D.C., and to really just be recognized for the efforts on this front, because it's so passionate to me. You know, it's not like I wake up and go to work every day, probably like you. It's like you love what you do, and who am I going to get to help next? Living a normal life, I guess, is a sigh of relief. You know, I love being a dad and a family man and a husband, and to be blessed like I am now, you know, I can't complain about anything. I just think that it's because I'm setting an example. That's my biggest success. It's not staying out of jail, and it's not all this other stuff. It's being a good dad.
Just the fact that people are excited to actually meet him because they know that he's helped people in the past, and he just continues to help people. He's an absolute superstar to all of us.
That's what I'm most proud of. It's what I want to be remembered for.
For more on housing and reentry assistance programs offered by the Cherokee Nation, go to Osio.tv and click on links mentioned. Ron Mitchell has been a fixture at Native American art shows for decades. Over the years, his painting style has evolved to incorporate history, telling a story that resonates with Cherokees and art collectors alike.
When I first started painting the colors, I actually did much like a paint by number. I actually would have gone in and labeled what color I was going to paint it and everything. The style that I've developed over the years is based on the traditional flat style. It's a very controlled way of controlling colors. You're dealing with flat colors next to flat colors. I figured 7 colors was about as all I could remember to deal with. My name's Ron Mitchell. I'm a member of the Cherokee Nation. I've been painting for 45 years. My dad was in the Army. He was in the Aleutian Islands during World War II. He was stationed up there. And he came back, was stationed in Fort Benning, Georgia, and that's where I was born, 1943. We moved to Lawton, Oklahoma when I was about 2 or 3 years old. And in the 4th grade is when I won my first art competition. That was the first time I really started showing art. I got in trouble a lot at school because I really wasn't a good student. I was spending more time drawing than I was actually paying attention to my classes. Velma Bailey was her name. She gave us I learned more from her than everything. She was the first one to actually notice that I was red-green colorblind. She said, "Why do you keep using the same colors over and over and over on all your paintings?" And I went, "I don't know." She said, "Are you colorblind?" I went, "I don't know." And at that point, it was the first time that I had any hint that I was colorblind. Of course, being partially colorblind, you do have an advantage with the fact that you perceive values a lot easier than people who see all the colors, because color sometimes can get in the way of values. I wanted to be a tech illustrator in the Air Force. They told me since I was red-green colorblind, they said, "What do you want to be, a cook or an air policeman?" Well, I joined the Air Force so I wouldn't be in the infantry, because that's what I was raised in. My dad was in the infantry for 20 years. I didn't want any more of it. And I said, "Give me a rifle." So there again, they said I couldn't be an artist because I was colorblind. And of course, in order to do that, I have to keep all of my colors labeled. And I keep them in a very strict order. I keep them in the order that I usually use them in. The current pieces I'm working on now is kind of a contemporary ledger style. Started doing some research, started learning about our history, our culture. It's an amazing amount of history that I've learned about our people and the trials and tribulations that our people have gone through. And I've tried to emulate that in my artwork, and using the flat style and combined with airbrush gives me a great tool for telling the stories. And I did a painting of the Trail of Tears across the bottom of the $20 bill. The Indian Museum in Wichita, Kansas bought it for their permanent collection now. And this is what kind of started this whole concept of taking documents like money and putting a new twist to it. It's sort of a satirical look on history, but using documents. They just like it just says, black colors. You just lay it down in black areas, and then when I get ready to finish the piece, I'll come back in with a darker color and outline it, just like much like a cartoon character or a coloring book. And that's what really will sit there and make this look finished. After my wife passed away, I wanted to move back over to my area where the family was from. I think I wanted more privacy or something, my own studio again. It'd been several years since my wife passed away, and I was ready to figure it out. I was still living. I still had things to do, My life wasn't over yet. So now I did build a nice porch facing the west, and this summer I would go out there and sit in the evening and sit out there in the rocking chair. It's nice, sit there and watch the sunsets and stuff, but I miss the traveling. That and the creative process. I have to paint, I have to draw. It's been too much of my life all my life, and I'm not going to quit.
We've provided a link to Ron's website on ours. Just visit Osiyo.tv and click on links mentioned. In 1831, the Cherokee Nation was fighting to retain their homelands in the state of Georgia. Georgia had passed several acts to add Cherokee land to the state, even though the boundaries of the Cherokee Nation had been clearly defined and guaranteed by treaty. If these acts were carried out, not only would Georgia gain a significant area to open to settlement, but Cherokee citizens there would be subject to the state's laws instead of their own. Represented by former U.S. Attorney General William Wirt and under the leadership of Principal Chief John Ross, the Cherokee Nation argued their case before the Supreme Court in the historic Cherokee Nation versus Georgia. While the Supreme Court found that the Cherokees did indeed still have an unquestionable right to the lands they occupy, on March 5, 1831, it decided that the Cherokee Nation did not qualify as either a state or a foreign state, and therefore could not bring suit against the state of Georgia. Instead, Chief Justice John Marshall likened the Cherokees' relationship to the United States as one of a ward to his guardian, and coined the phrase domestic dependent nation, a term that is still used today.
Jalagi ini wone. Let's talk Cherokee. March. Anayi. March is a windy month. Anayi katla. Ganola ski. Anayi. Katla. Ganola ski. Bird. G-squaw. The bird is singing. G-squaw. De kanogi a. G-squaw. De kanogi a. Flood. Ganohugi a. The creek is flooding. Ama uweya. Ganohugi a. Ama uweya. Ganohugi a.
The Cherokee Nation donated a record $4.7 million to school districts as part of our annual Public School Appreciation Day. The checks were handed out in a special luncheon at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Tulsa. The money comes from Cherokee Nation tribal car tag sales, which puts 38% of the revenue toward education. The annual donations have increased 370% since the tag program first began in 2002. School superintendents have no restrictions and can use the funds at the district's discretion.
We really appreciate everything Cherokee Nation has done for our school. They've helped us in the past every year with funding. A lot of things that they offer us help us provide so much for our kids that we couldn't provide without them.
Since 2002, the tribe has awarded $40.1 million from car tag revenue to about 100 school districts in northeast Oklahoma. Seeds from the Cherokee Nation's Heirloom Seeds program are arriving in mailboxes across the country.
The seed bank was actually started as a way to help preserve seeds that were culturally important for the Cherokee, things that were unique to us, and it's really seeds that the Cherokee have been growing for hundreds of years.
The tribe began dispersing its limited supply of heirloom seeds to tribal citizens last month. The seeds come from an inventory of seeds of rare breeds of corn, beans, squash, gourds, Trail of Tears beads, tobacco, and several plants traditionally used for Cherokee customs. These kinds of seeds are not available in stores.
Since it's part of the culture, part of the language, part of the activities of our agricultural history, the preservation of all of those things is job number one.
People with proof of tribal citizenship can either make an appointment to pick up their seeds at the tribal headquarters in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, or email their request to seedbank@cherokee.org to have them sent by mail. The Cherokee Nation signed an agreement with Indian Health Service to secure the largest joint venture funding project ever among tribes. The agreement allows for IHS to fund the W.W. Hastings Hospital in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, at an estimated $80 million or more per year. The funding would last a minimum of 20 years or potentially the life of the hospital.
That will last for generations and change the health care of not only our kids and grandkids, but their kids and grandkids. It might be one of the best days we've had in the Cherokee Nation.
The historic agreement opens the door for the Cherokee Nation to pay more than $150 million for the construction of a 450,000 square foot health center in Tahlequah that will be the largest ever built among tribes under IHS. In the agreement, IHS requests funding for staffing and operating expenses each year for at least 20 years once the hospital reaches capacity. To some, the beauty of a beauty queen may seem skin deep, but Miss Teen Oklahoma 2015 Cherokee Pierce says she uses her crown to send a message to young girls. Being different is good, and she's proof dreams do come true.
The new Miss Oklahoma Teen USA is Cherokee Pierce. Congratulations, ladies.
My name is Cherokee Pierce, and I'm Miss Oklahoma Teen USA 2015. I was 14 when I first started pageants. I think my initial thought was I wanted to be in a pretty dress and I wanted to go out there. I wanted to meet new people and meet friends that had some goals that I did. I wanted to go to college and I want to have a great career and do something different. So I entered my first pageant and it was a great experience. I found a goal that I wanted to be Miss Oklahoma Teen USA, and I competed for 5 years for that title. I met new friends, and friends I actually still talk to this day, and the 5th time was a charm, and I was crowned Miss Oklahoma Teen USA. The night I won, oh my gosh, I bawled my eyes out. I could not stop crying. It was something, of course, I've always dreamed of doing. I grew up on a very small farm in Chelsea, Oklahoma. I grew up raising cattle and goats, and it was just a great time of my life where I got to learn a lot of responsibility and how to take care of something other than myself. My grandparents live on 200 acres in Claremore.
Oh, precious.
Cherokee comes from a long line of very strong Cherokee women. This property was part of the Indian allotment in the 1890s.
I remember shucking corn and picking green beans. Yeah. And I remember Grandma being so fast at picking green beans. I'd be at the very beginning of the road and she'd be all the way down.
I always had this secret kind of dream of wanting to do a pageant.
I always knew that whatever Cherokee wanted to do, she could accomplish. She had actually come to me when she was small and she said she wanted to be a model. And I didn't know anything about the industry and was really kind of nervous. I thought these young girls were just being judged on, the way they looked. And I didn't want that for Cherokee because we've always taught Cherokee that beauty comes from within. After doing a lot of research, I found that these girls were actually volunteering and doing a lot in their community. They were actually public servants, and they were spokespeople for, kids that felt like they didn't have a voice.
I guess I was just different. Of course, living on a farm, I always just felt like an outcast. I would get teased a lot, bullied, and even in the 2nd grade was choked until I almost passed out. So that's what provoked me to write my book, Meanie Muffins, and to publish it. I've been traveling to daycares and schools and reading it to them because it's okay to be unique, it's okay to be different. And also, if you are being bullied or hurt or harassed, then tell a teacher, tell someone older than you.
Cherokee has a servant's heart, and I wanted her to tap into that if she ever was given the honor of being crowned. And when she finally won, she made it a point to do things for other people, which I'm super proud about. She did an enormous amount of community service work, She talked to kids and always would pick out the little kid that was in the corner. And so she really, I feel like she gives back to those that were just like her when she was little, that didn't have the confidence that they needed.
Being a role model is it's a great experience. And when you walk into a classroom and you have your crown and your sash, and I get a lot of, oh my gosh, it's a princess, and that makes me so happy. And I just tell them right back that, no, you're a princess. And I let them wear my crown and my sash. And they went to the Little Lighthouse in Tulsa, which is a school for special needs children. And that was an incredible experience. And you know, those kids got to wear my crown and my sash and feel like a queen. I've spoken to a lot of the Native students. I went to Bella Elementary, which is a very small elementary school by Stillwell, and I've gotten to speak to them about my journey and never giving up, and whatever dream you have, you can attain it if you work hard. Miss Teen USA was a blast. We spent 5 days in the Bahamas. I placed in the top 15. I have friends from every state now, these girls that are absolutely incredible, and they really do inspire me. So after the preliminary competition at Miss Teen USA, we had a Sherry Hill fashion show, and Sherry Hill herself actually picked 6 girls who would be able to model for her next Atlanta market in August. So I was one of those that was chosen out of 51 girls, which was absolutely such an incredible honor. Yeah, along with going to school, I've been modeling to pay for my school. I think that's super important to me to work hard to get my education, so modeling has given me the opportunity to do that. Eventually I do plan to compete as of this time for Miss Oklahoma USA, but in the meantime I want to focus on school 100%. I'm going to transfer to the University of Central Oklahoma in the fall, so I'm really looking forward to that. In the future I want to be a motivational speaker, and that's something I actually discovered through being Miss Oklahoma Teen USA. Through my experiences speaking to students and kids across the state, I've realized I think this is what I want to do. I want to speak to people and I want to motivate them and how they can reach their goals and move forward.
Next time on Osiyo, Voices of the Cherokee People. A Cherokee family creating an Oklahoma wrestling legacy. The father-son team that created a repeat state wrestling champion and a bright future for this young athlete. We hope you enjoyed our show. And remember, you can always watch entire episodes and share your favorite stories online at Osiyo.tv. There is no Cherokee word for goodbye. We say, Donadago ha'i. We'll see each other again. So until next time, wado.
I think it's important to be active because it's fun and it just keeps me in shape.
CHIP is that extra insurance that covers the cost in case there's an injury. We can get your family covered with insurance.